First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Yahweh is the name of who this world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai is the name of who this world ignorantly calls Jesus, both in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the outer bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me his truth. Today I wanted to go into the topic of Jacob's trouble and pretty much go into how Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai he's gonna do some works, right? He's gonna do some miracles that no one's ever seen before, right? And the scriptures go into that, but quite literally things we can't even imagine. And I wanted to bring out a dream, right? I think it was a prophetic dream I had that was going into that, right? I was looking at something that I couldn't even explain, and let me get into that. So pretty much in this dream, I was outside in the backyard of someone's house, and it was dark outside, right? Pitch black, and the moon was out, full moon. But the strange thing is that right next to the moon, it looked like there was a sun, right? A bright red, orange sun right next to the moon while it was pitch black outside. And this sun and the moon were almost eclipsed, and it was like it was pushing out this like purple black aura, like um let me see if I can draw it. Paint. It was like, if I had to explain it, right? We had the moon, then you had the sun. Let me. We had the sun, right? And it was something like this, like coming off the moon and the sun. It was the most strange thing ever, like an aura pulsing off both of them. And I was looking at that. I'm like, what am I looking at? And now I instantly I'm like, wow, like Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is gonna do some works that cannot be explained. Right? That's why it says it's gonna be a time like never foreseen. Because we're gonna see some things that not because that's another thing. Let me go into this topic. Right? There's scientists and the people of this world, whenever something unusual happens, they instantly jump to their scientific explanations. Right? You'll see a red river, and they'll be like, it's the algae, or this, and that, the sodium. Right? But Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, he's going to do some works where even the scientists are going to say, yeah, we can't explain that. And that's exactly what I was seeing. I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, I've never seen this. And the funny thing too is, instantly my head was like, let me record this, right? Let me record it. And I pull out my phone, and of course, on my video, I have the option where it's like a 10-second timer before it takes a picture. And in those 10 seconds while I was waiting, everything went back to normal. And I'm like, wow, that's the spirit, right? This was just for me to see, right? This wasn't supposed to be recorded, okay? And that was the first account. Then in that same dream, I was also outside, right, dark outside, and I was looking up at the stars. And the stars were very, very vivid, right? You could clearly see them. And I was looking at the stars, and I was looking at one point, one bright dot in the sky, and it started moving, right? And that dot started moving, and instantly I'm like, wow, that's a chariot, right? And like two, three other dots started moving parallel with that dot and moving 90 degrees. Just things you can't explain, right? I knew it was the chariots of the Most High, right? The angels. But if a regular Joe Schmo looked at that, he'd be like, what the hell is that, right? But the point is that everything I got, or what I got out of those dreams, is that he's going to perform some works, right? He's going to perform miracles that no one is ready for, that we can't even imagine in our own heads. Okay, it's going to be that great. Okay, because one thing about a movie is that the ending is always more of a bang, right? It's always more intense at the beginning. Okay, that's why it says that he's no longer going to be the cause of the Lord that saved his people out of Egypt, but the Lord that saved his people out of the north and out of all lands, roughly paraphrasing. Because this salvation, it's going to top Egypt, right? Moses splitting the sea, it's going to be nothing compared to what he's going to do in this time. And we have to really envision that. But let's go into some scriptures. This is Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 6, and it says, ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness? Right? Jeremiah was pretty much asking, why do I see everyone with their hands on their stomachs? Like, do men have children? Answer to that is clearly no. But he's pretty much going into the state of the people. Right? Men had their hands on their loins, right, in pain, like a woman in travail giving birth, and all faces are turned to paleness. Okay? It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay? And this is the great time, the great test that every single elect member is going to have to go through. But as it goes into, only the elect are going to pass, right? They're going to fly through, hey, they're going to pass with flying numbers, right? But the point is, it's going to be a time like never foreseen, right? Let's get that in Daniel. This is Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1, and it says, the time of the end. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And ultimately that's the elect, right? But even Michael, right, a top tier angel, right, up there in the ranks, he's going to have to stand up and help the nation of Israel, because things are going to be so dire, right? The condition is going to be so grievous that he's going to have to come in and help. But it says that there should be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. So think about all the things that Yahawah did in the ancient times, right? All the apparitions, right? All the curses that he sent to the Egyptians, right? All those things, hey, it's going to be nothing compared to what he's going to do in this time, right? So that puts your mind to a state of thinking, like, what can he do? What can he do? Because when you actually think about it, he can do anything, because he is, right? That's what his name means. He exists. He is, right? He can make a zombie apocalypse come, right? He can make it where AI takes over and we're over here fighting robots like it's iRobot or a Terminator, right? We literally don't know what he can do, and that's a scary thing. That's why we have to get on his good side now before these things come to pass, because these people that don't have the truth, and because of their pride, they went after the world and didn't turn back and hearken. Man, they're gonna have to go through some things that you're not even gonna want to talk about, right? Yahawah said that he's gonna choose their delusions, right? So your biggest fear, it's gonna come upon you, man. If you're scared of spiders, he's gonna send a million spiders while you're sleeping, right? Come into your throat through your backside, right? He's gonna torment you for not coming back to his grace and for being disobedient. Like the scripture goes into, let me see if I can get that. Um, Lion, serpent. Right, Amos chapter 5 and verse 18. It says, woe unto you that desire the day of Yahawah. To what end is it for you? The day of Yahawah is darkness and not light. As if a man did flee from a lion, and a bear met him, or went to the house and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of Yahawah be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? Right? So, as it says, you're going to be running, you come into a lion, and a bear meets you, right? The entire time, it's going to be danger after danger after danger, and you're going to feel like you're never catching a break, okay? But the elect, they're ultimately going to have a hedge of protection around them, and they're going to be protected, right? Through the Spirit, they're going to be able to make decisions that are rational and that are ultimately going to lead to their salvation. That's why it says in Isaiah chapter 33 and verse 6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and the fear of the Lord is his treasure. Okay, so that's what we're building up in this time, is the fear of Yahawah Bahashim Yahweh Shai, and that wisdom, the knowledge, right? Really establishing our roots and building a foundation, so when that time comes, spiritually we're grounded and our house is built, right? We're not going to have to worry about what's going on, because Yahawah Ba'Hashem Yahawashi has put us through so many trials and tribulations that He's built up our faith to be able to rely on Him in the first place. Okay? But as it says, the day of Yahawah is darkness and not light. Right? You don't want to be caught up in that. Trust me. This is Joel chapter 2 and verse 1, and it says, the terrible visitation. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahawah cometh, for it is nigh at hand. And that's what the prophets are doing right now, right? We're constantly blowing the trumpet in Zion, which Zion is a people before it's a place, right? The nation of Israel. And we're sounding that alarm, right? Pretty much telling the nation, hey, you need to turn back to Yahawah Ba'Hashem Yahawashi, or you're going to get destroyed. Right? That's simple. If you don't turn back to Yahawah Ba'Hashem Yahawashi, you're gonna get destroyed, and you're gonna have to suffer a grievous death. Because let me say one thing: there's people out here, people that know they're Israelites, and they're in this mentality of, hey, if we're all gonna make it to the kingdom of heaven eventually, right? If all Israelites are saved, right? It doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? It doesn't matter because I'm gonna be saved regardless. Nah, man, that's a reprobate spirit. Right? If you're thinking like that, you're completely going off. Because who knows how the Lord can torment you, right? He says He's going to choose your delusions. Right? He might have it where they slowly, hey, take off all your toes one by one. Right? Take off, hey, I don't know. Right? It's going to be, let me just put it like this. He's gonna make you suffer. And He's especially going to make you suffer for being in that mindset. Right? Thinking you're going to get away with an easy death. Nah. He's going to make sure you suffer and make sure you realize that you're going off and that ultimately you're in the wrong. But verse 2 says, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. Right? So there hasn't been a time ever before in history that's going to be like the time we're coming into, right? And just think about all the captivities we've been in, all the judgment Yahawah Ba'Hashem Yahawashi has done, and He says that none of that is going to top what we're going to have to go through. So just put that in retrospect and really meditate on that. And it's scary, man. It's truly scary. But through fear is how we get correct, right? We fear what He can do. We fear the times that are coming. So knowing what He can do to us, we get right. And that's ultimately having wisdom. Right? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Okay? And another point, it says, even to the years of many generations, there neither shall be any more after it. Right? Because after this goes down, the kingdom of heaven is going to be established when the Israelites are ruling forever in righteousness and peace. Right? All these other nations are going to have to follow the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability, or else they're going to get judged according to the law. It says that the nations are no longer going to know war, right? We're going to have peace over the entire earth, and these nations are actually going to be grateful for that, right? Because they're going to realize that these laws, the law, statutes, and commandments were built for us to live abundantly, peacefully, and to live a life of, how do I put it? To live a correct life, right? That's what they were ultimately set up for. Okay? Let's keep going though. Let's keep going. This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 21. And it says, but pray ye, or I'll start at 20. It says, but pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Right? Because if it's the Sabbath, hey, you're going to be constricted on what you can do. And if it's in the winter, hey, that cold, bitter weather is nothing to play with. But it says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Right? Exactly what all the other scriptures are saying. Right? No one's ever seen the things we're going to see in this lifetime. And you best believe that this event is going to happen in our lifetime. Right? Because we see the signs already happening. Right? We see the CBDCs and the MOTB being set up. Right around the corner. They just need a big impact, an event, to bring in that order. But it says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Right? It's going to be that crucial that if these days are not shortened, right? Time literally made to go faster, no one's going to be saved, right? This devil is going to completely obliterate everyone and self-annihilate because that's his nature. His nature is to kill and to subdue, right? And that's why this earth is at the state that it is, because the only thing he knows is war and destruction, right? It said that he was going to rule the world, or he was going to rule with the sword, and that's what we see him doing till this day. Okay, two more scriptures. This is Second Ezra chapter 11 or chapter 15, in verse 11, and it says, "But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof." Right, and that Egypt is talking about Babylon, right? Spiritual Sodom and Egypt. But it says he's gonna smite this land, smite America, Babylon the Great, with plagues as before, right? So all the plagues that we saw in Egypt, darkness, right? Those flies or whatever you call them, right? The locusts, right? The fleas, the frogs, right? The blood river, all these plagues, he's gonna send them again, and more, right? That's a key point, and more. And it says, "And will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it." Okay? "They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein." And woe means destruction, right? Pretty much, even Esdras was saying when he was seeing these visions, he's like, "Woe is me, woe is me." Right? He was shocked at what he was seeing. So this was a man of the Lord that he had faith, right? He had trust in Yahawah Bahashim Yahawashi. And even he seeing these things was like, damn, that's how you gonna do it this time? Like, damn. So just imagine what he's cooking up there, right? The plans and what he's been meditating for this time that's passed. And going into Exodus and Egypt, this is Exodus chapter 14, and I'll start at 30. It says, Thus the Lord Yahawah saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore." Right? When Yahawah saved the nation of Israel through Moses, right? Through the sea. But it says, "And Israel saw that great work which Yahawah did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared Yahawah and believed Yahawah and his servant Moses." Okay? And the reason I brought this out is that it talks about his wonders as being a great work. And when you look into that word great, it means extent, amount, or intensity considerably above the normal or average. Alright, it's going to be significant, pronounced, sizable, substantial, right? Pretty much how we've read through all these scriptures, something we've never before seen, a time like never before seen. So the reason I brought out all these scriptures is that, hey, the dream I had the other day, it really put that in perspective for me, because I was looking at things where there's no explanation, right? And that's just the tip of the jar, right? The tip of his power, right? Yahawah is an infinite power, and he can do whatever he wants because he is, right? He created everything we see and created our own souls. So just imagine what he has in his mind and the judgment he's going to put upon these nations, and primarily the nation of Israel. But hopefully this was edifying, and this puts you in the right mindset and the right perspective. But with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashim Yahawashi, Bahashim Rakakwadash, and double honors to the outer bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you, like Shalom.